Dejounte Murray to the Lakers. Well, the Lakers have engaged in trade talks with the Atlanta Hawks. We've got some trade packages and the latest on that rumor. Plus, the Lakers have their eyes on Bruce Brown. Will the Lakers make a big impact trade? That's coming up next here on the All Lakers podcast. What is up, Laker fans? Doug McKain here. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Now, if you haven't yet, do me a huge favor. Subscribe to the All Lakers YouTube channel, the fastest growing Lakers channel in the game. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And if you really want to support the channel, hit that like button. And I want to know from you. Give me your Lakers takes down below in the comment section. Who do you want to see the Lakers trade for? Is it Dejounte Murray? Is it a Bruce Brown? I want all your Lakers trade deadline takes down below in the comment section. And for all latest Lakers news, head over to alllakers.com. The Lakers and NBA trade rumors. Name a better duo. Well, of course, you're always going to see the Lakers involved in trade rumors. You're going to see the Lakers linked with big-name players. Well, the biggest name that they've been linked to this trade season has been Dejounte Murray. Now, they were linked to Zach LaVine for a lot of months there, but Windhorst said a few weeks ago that there's zero chance that deal is going to get done. But the player that they realistically could trade for is Dejounte Murray. And the rumors are starting to swirl. Yesterday, Chris Haynes, he reported the Milwaukee Bucks are interested in trading for Dejounte Murray. My response to that is, with what assets? Do you really have the assets to get a deal done for Dejounte Murray after you traded for Damian Lillard last offseason? Do you want to take the ball out of Damian Lillard's hands even more? I'm not so sure that makes a ton of sense, but for the Lakers, it makes all the sense in the world because Dejounte Murray, still one of the better point guards in the sport. He's young. He's under a favorable contract. If you look at his numbers so far this season, he's averaging 21 points, 4.8 rebounds, 5 assists on 46% shooting and 38.5% shooting beyond the arc, has a 16.7 PER, 2.4 win shares, and this is someone that can impact the game defensively. Now, he's still getting back to where he was when he was someone that was continuously getting Defensive Player of the Year votes. And, of course, he tore his ACL, and sometimes it takes multiple seasons to fully get back to where you were before the injury. When it comes to the lateral movement, the range of motion, the explosion, but he is still young enough to where he is definitely going to get it back. He's 27 years old. He can shoot threes. He's averaging, like I said, 6 3-point attempts a game, shooting at a 38.5% clip. Tons of teams would line up around the block for that kind of production. 21 points per game can impact the game defensively. So makes a lot of sense for the Lakers. They could absolutely use another explosive point guard, a dynamic point guard. He would be an upgrade from D'Angelo Russell because, look, yes, D'Lo has put together some really good games offensively of late. He's someone that when he gets hot, he can fill it up. He can make threes. He can play make. Him and Anthony Davis in the pick and roll. Yes, he's someone that has value, right? But he could be putting up Wilt Chamberlain numbers right now. D'Angelo Russell could be scoring 100 points a night, and we know that come playoff time, come deep into the playoffs, that he's unplayable, that teams will hunt him defensively, and that's just a reality. He was a cone in the playoffs against the Denver Nuggets, and they exploited that matchup, so you just can't have him out there. D'Angelo Russell is not a championship-level player. That's just the reality. He is not a number 3 or 4 on a championship-winning team that needs more out of that position. And look, so nothing against D'Angelo Russell. I think he's a great guy, a great personality. But what I always say, do not fall in love with players, fall in like with players. Unless they're surefire Hall of Famers. They're surefire MVP candidates. They're surefire players that are not going to be involved in trade talks at all. The Anthony Davis types, the prime LeBron types, those types of players. Outside of that, you don't want to fall in love with role players. You don't want to fall in love with number 3s or 4s because the reality is you get emotionally attached and you don't want to trade them when you have opportunities to upgrade your roster. Now, the latest on a Dejounte Murray, comes from Jovan Bua of The Athletic, who wrote recently, the Murray buzz is only increasing and to noisy levels. The Lakers and Hawks have discussed potential frameworks of a deal, including a version late last week that centered on Russell, Hood-Schifino, the 2029 first-round pick, and additional draft compensation, according to multiple team and league sources. Talks have since stalled, but are expected to pick back up closer to the deadline. And Hoops Hype Michael Scotto, he reported on Thursday that any trade involving Russell would need to include a third team to reroute him. So what that tells you right there is the Atlanta Hawks, they don't value D'Angelo Russell. You would have to find a third team. I think he does make a lot of sense for the Brooklyn Nets. There are teams out there that could use a D'Angelo Russell type of player, especially with the way he's improved his value of late, because look, he can score 20-plus points a game. He can give you 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 assists per game. He just needs the minutes, he needs the usage rate, and he needs the opportunities. Now, defensively, that's a whole other story, but there's one championship winner every season, right? A lot of teams, you're looking to put butts in seats, you're looking to just have good, solid years and give yourself a chance in the playoffs to try to make some noise. So he's not a terrible player by any stretch. I'm not saying that. I just know in my heart of hearts that the Lakers aren't winning a championship with D'Angelo Russell in the position that he is in right now. Now, he would also point out on Hoops Hype that any framework for a Murray trade to the Lakers would likely involve guard D'Angelo Russell, league sources told Hoops Hype. However, that would be contingent on Russell being flipped to a third team from Atlanta in the process. Russell's $18.69 million player option for next season and his playing style next to Trae Young isn't viewed as a fit for the Hawks. So that would not work. Trae Young and D'Angelo Russell, that's not going together. That's like orange juice and toothpaste, right? It wouldn't work. It doesn't feel good. It's not going to be something that they're going to be very interested in. But I do think you could find that third team. And most importantly, the Hawks, they're looking to move off the Dejounte Murray, Trae Young experiment. They've given that enough time within the organization. They're looking to turn the corner and change things up. Now, if you look at a trade package that would include a D'Angelo Russell, a Hood-Schifino, a 2029 first-round pick, if you look at that deal, if you could get that deal done, I'm driving them to the airport myself. I'm driving D'Lo and Hood JHS and that first-round pick. I'll put in the glove compartment in an envelope because a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura as potential players that you would include in a deal. And those are players that, yes, they're not superstars. Yes, they most likely won't ever make an all-star team in their career. Maybe Reeves finds a way to make an all-star team. Not saying it's outside the realm of possibility, but what those guys are, they're really solid to good players that every now and then can have themselves a night where they look like they're playing an all-star. Just look at Rui Hachimura in the Memphis series last season. Look at Austin Reeves and his I'm him moments. Now, Austin Reeves has struggled of late, and I'm not going to go full recency bias here, but the three-point shooting slumps, they've been an issue. Defensively, he has regressed. He struggled to just stay in front of his man essentially all season long. And last night, he really had probably one of his worst games of his Lakers career and most definitely probably the worst game of the season. Last night against the Brooklyn Nets in what was, my opinion, the worst loss of the season by the Lakers, where they came out, had a really nice start, got themselves a double-digit lead, and then it looked like they forgot how to basketball in the second half. LeBron James looked disinterested. He was frustrated. He was throwing passes to his teammates, and when they weren't converting, he was throwing his hands up. He was barking at calls, not getting back on defense, just wasn't engaged. And look, that's who it starts from. Everyone wants to point at Darvin Ham. It starts with your leader. It starts with LeBron James, and it trickles down. When LeBron brings it, the rest of the team, they typically follow suit. Well, you also need production from guys like Austin Reeves. And Austin Reeves last night, it's not a game that he's going to want to send on a tape to the Basketball Hall of Fame. He played 33 minutes, scored 9 points, snared 3 boards, had 5 assists, 1 steal, shot 4 for 12 from the field, and a donut, a bagel from beyond the arc. Went 0 for 6 from downtown, 101 for the line, was a minus 13 box plus minus. And if you look at his shooting recently, it's very concerning. When you look at his numbers, he's shooting 22.7% from beyond the arc on 44 attempts in his last 11 games. A 22.7% from three in his last 11. Now, overall in that stretch, he's still shooting 51.4%, and that's because he's been very efficient knocking down his two-point field goals, where he's going 46 for 65, shooting at a 70.7% clip. But for Austin Reaves to be the player that we all hoped he was going to be when he signed that contract, he's going to have to knock down his threes with more consistency, especially when you're shooting 6 of them a game. Because defensively, watch Austin Reaves. It has been a struggle. It looks like he's playing on rollerblades, okay? Defensively, he has regressed. He needs to find a way to improve in that department, and that's definitely a concern for me. But I still would keep Austin Reaves, right? Unless you absolutely have to include him in a deal for an impact player, I'd prefer to keep him in purple and gold. Now, I personally am not an untouchable guy. That's not who I am. Everything's up for business, right? If you come knocking on my door, I don't care how long I've lived in that house, how much I love that house, offer me a price, and I'd sell that house, okay? Nothing is untouchable unless it's an Anthony Davis type, unless it's a LeBron James type, unless it's a true franchise player where you're not even having the conversation. The reality is, players like Austin Reaves, even though it was reported by Jovan Bua a few days ago that Austin Reaves is essentially untouchable, every player has a price. But the beauty of all this is just look at that potential trade package that has been on the table for a Dejounte Murray. I mean, that is a package that you would do every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I mean, if you look at the contract that he's on, a very, very favorable contract, $30 million a year, and it kicks in starting in 2024, the 24-25 season, runs through the 26-27 season. You have a player option in 27 and 28, a $24 million per year salary that goes up to $30 million per year. That is an affordable salary the way that players are getting played this year. Just look at what Jaylen Brown got last season. Just look at the type of contracts guys are signing these days. And here's the other kicker, too, is you can trade for Dejounte Murray. You pair him with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. You still have Rui Hachimura and Austin Reaves and Jared Vanderbilt and possibly Gabe Vincent. He gets back healthy and starts to contribute. He's been a bust so far with a capital B. Of course, he's been injured, but still, he has been a bust so far. Hopefully you get something from him. But let's say things don't work out and this organization goes in a different direction following this season. Well, Dejounte Murray is still young enough where you theoretically could flip him again if you wanted to down the line. He's still going to hold trade value down the line if the Lakers want to go that route. But he's a player that can absolutely help this team win a championship this season. And I'll be honest with you, I think this is non-negotiable. This team has to make an impact trade. I know that Darvin Ham said, oh, continuity this, continuity that, keep the same guys, keep this and that. No, this season, after last offseason, when we were ready to build a statue for Rob Pelinka and say he was the best GM ever, say he's the best GM since Jerry West, and he says this transcendent general manager, right? Hey, everyone thought this was going to be a team that was going to be a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. Let's be honest with yourself. This has been a massive disappointing season for the Lakers because not only have you hovered around 500, you've had Anthony Davis playing at an MVP level. For the most part, LeBron James has consistently been in the lineup each and every game. Both of them have played well, and you have nothing to show for it, right? You're talking about a play-in game. That's unacceptable with this level of talent. So the Lakers need to go out there. They need to make an impact trade. Dejounte Murray, for that package, do it every single day. Hood Schifino, he has some potential. IMG, he went to Indiana. He was picked right there in the first round. What was I screaming? Who did I say to draft? Jaime Jaquez from UCLA. Is it biased because I'm a UCLA Bruin? Absolutely. But look what Jaime Jaquez has done for the Miami Heat, right? So they're a team that whiffed on that trade, on that pick. It's still early to say it's a bust, but still, he's not going to be a player that's going to help you this season. He definitely looks like a project. And D'Angelo Russell, he definitely helped this team especially from a chemistry standpoint, just the feel-good vibes that he had with the fan base when he returned. But he is not a championship-level player, especially on the defensive end. You have to be a top 5 to 10 team defensively to be able to sniff a championship. And you can't have unplayable players on your roster. And that is, if we're just trying to tell you the cold hard truth, that's what D'Angelo Russell is when it gets down to the conference finals. He's an unplayable player, right? Might as well have him in the street clothes at that point. Might as well not even have him in jerseys at that point in his warm-up. So trade D'Angelo Russell as soon as you possibly can for an impact player. I'm rooting for him. I hope he scores 40, 50, 60 points tonight to increase that trade value as much as possible, because I'm telling you, this Lakers team isn't as far off as the Lakers haters want to act like they are. This season is still salvageable if you make a move like a Dejounte Murray type of move. Or there's another player that could be made available, and that, of course, is Bruce Brown, who's now on the Toronto Raptors. He was included in the Pascal Siakam trade recently, and Bruce Brown is a player that he's your 3-and-D guy, right? 3-and-D guys, they're at a premium. You can never have enough of them. And Woj was on the pregame show for ESPN, and he talked about Bruce Brown. And if the Pacers hadn't gone where they did financially, he most likely would be a Laker right now. So the Lakers, they wanted to sign him, and they didn't. After he signed with the Pacers, they pivoted to signing Gabe Vincent. But Bruce Brown, he was their first choice. That's who they wanted in purple and gold. And now it looks like they can get their guy because he's now on the Raptors, and the Raptors could be looking to deal. Now, if you look at his contract, signed that 2-year deal with a player option, $22 million for next season. And all the signs were indicating that, okay, he was probably going to sign with the Lakers, possibly on that mid-level exception. But unfortunately, the Pacers, they came through with an offer that you just couldn't refuse if you're Bruce Brown. And they end up, like I said, going to Gabe Vincent. And I still think that right now, where the Raptors are at, they got to trade him. Might as well try to trade him. And Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, he talked about the Lakers' interest in Brown, and he said that the Lakers are keeping their eyes on him as they lead up to that trade deadline. And like I said, he's a great fit, right? He's a great fit as far as a 3-and-D wing. And just go look at that series against the Nuggets last season. He had a massive impact on that series. He's one of the big reasons why the Lakers did get swept, and the Nuggets went on to win the title. When the Nuggets won the title, you looked at Jokic, you looked at Murray, but then you looked at the Bruce Browns, right? And he's a player that had a big impact for that team. Now, the only issue I would have in that deal is you start to have a little bit of imbalanced roster when it comes to your ball handler, right? I mean, you really need someone that you want to have handle that rock, and it's probably going to be more in the hands of LeBron James and Austin Reeves, but that's why Murray is option number one. But if he's not going to happen and Murray goes to another team, because you're going to start to see probably a little bit of a bidding war for him, I think Bruce Brown is someone that you would have to absolutely pursue as well. And if you look at what they could get for him, I mean, could you get him for a Gabe Vincent, right? Could you get him for a Jalen Hood-Schifino, right? And look at the first rounders there. Probably wouldn't have to give one up. So I think that's really the big question for me is you go all in on Dejounte Murray. Zach LaVine's a pipe dream. That ain't happening at this point. But there's no doubt about it. This Lakers team, 100% with the bullet, needs to go out there, make an impact trade. And if they don't, this season is going to be all for naught. This is the NBA, right? Save for the mid-90s Rockets who won as a 6th seed. I mean, it just doesn't happen in this sport, right? It's extremely rare. Yes, you had the lockout Knicks in 1999. They made it to the finals. You had the Dikembe Mutombo Nuggets. They upset the 1 seed. You had the We Believe Warriors. But guess what? Only the Rockets were able to pull off a championship. And guess what? If you don't win a championship with the Lakers, the season's a failure. That's the only thing they play for, okay? I still don't love the in-season tournament banner. I'll be honest with you. I think that was Adam Silver's doing. What did Kobe Bryant say? We only hang up championship banners. That's the standard that I still believe in for this organization. And with LeBron James still playing the way he is, and Anthony Davis playing at an MVP level, you have to maximize this championship window, and you do that by making an impact trade. So, hey, Rob, it's up to you now. You got to go out there. We need to let Rob cook, see what he can do, and hopefully this season can turn around like it did last season. But that's going to do it for this episode of the All Lakers podcast. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. Now, if you haven't yet, do me a huge favor. I'm going to start doing more of these podcasts. I'm also appearing on Bleacher Report, doing streams. So, I'm going to be jumping more into the Lakers game. Of course, you guys know I'm a lifelong bleeder of the purple and gold. Really, my first gig in sports was covering the Lakers. So, love me, the Lakers, as much as I do any team out there, really. Lakers, Dodgers, Rams. You know, I love me some LA sports. I'm loyal to the soil, people. But that is going to do it for this episode. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Lakers hopefully get back on track. But that is going to do it. See you guys next time. And as always, go Lakers.